Striking car workers in Detroit got the backing of Joe Biden himself, the US president showing up in person on their picket line to tell them to stick with it because they deserve the pay rise they're seeking from General Motors. The strike, which is on its 12th day, received unprecedented presidential backing. Meanwhile, Biden's budget problems intensify. On October the 1st, deadline is fast approaching. If the budget isn't approved by Congress, a $24 billion aid deal for Ukraine could, well, bite the dust. Federal workers may not get paid. Welfare checks may not be issued. Joining me now, Dean Baker, American macroeconomist who founded the Center for Economic and Policy Research. Dean, thank you very much for joining us. This situation regarding Joe Biden, can I start by asking your opinion? If you don't want to go there, you don't have to, but I've got to ask you anyway. He's there with the strikers in Detroit. Is this a wise move for the president to do that? What do you think he's trying to achieve?
Well, he wants to clearly show he's on the side of the union, and that is extraordinary. He's the first president ever to walk a picket line. Democrat presidents generally rely on strong union support, but no one has ever gone as far as this. So he wants to make it really clear. He's on the side of the union. He's on the side of the workers. They deserve a big pay increase. I mean, that's what he's trying to get out there, and I think he's done that. I mean, it remains to be seen, but I mean, I think it was a really strong statement.
Indeed, those statements are strong, but of course they will, I presume, they're bound to alienate General Motors and others of their ilk.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, Democrats, we've had this for a long time. The Republicans have been giving tax cuts that overwhelmingly favor the wealthy, large corporations. Democrats, they aren't anti-corporate. They understand we have a capitalist economy, but their argument has been we don't have to give so much money to those at the top. And Biden's been more explicit in making that case than I would say any Democrat in my lifetime.
Moving on to the budget situation that Biden is facing, clearly what is happening in Congress is something that could stymie a number of projects for him. How serious is the situation right now in your view?
Well, it is serious, but it's important to understand it's not Biden against the Republicans. It's the Republicans against the Republicans. So the Republicans control one house of Congress, the House of Representatives. But you have the Speaker, McCarthy, who did a deal with Biden on the debt ceiling back, I think it was in May or June, which had budget provisions in there. And now he's got the far right wing of his party refusing to go along. So it's actually a division within the Republicans, which isn't to say everything's hunky-dory between Biden and the Republicans, but he did have a deal that now McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, is unable to make good on because of a rebellion by the right wing in its own party.
How much of that right-wing rebellion do you think is tied to a kind of indecision, or maybe it's just basically a rejection of what's being done in Ukraine? Certain voices within the Republican Party saying that enough is enough. Enough money has gone there already. It's time to sort of reassess.
That's clearly an element of it, but I'm sort of the view that if it weren't Ukraine, they would have something else. These are people, I'm being a little perhaps overly cynical here, they want to be in the news, they want to be in the highlight, and they realize by creating an obstruction, they could do that. So I don't doubt that they really don't, they object to what's going to the funding for Ukraine. But again, I think they would find something else were it not for Ukraine.
Dean, you're very modest, and we appreciate that. You're saying that it's oversimplifying it, because we really appreciate that you're doing that to make it clear, and I certainly do. But the issue again rebounds onto ordinary people. Federal workers, are wondering whether they're going to get paid. People who rely on welfare wondering whether they're going to get their check. There seems to be a certain cruelty to all of this.
It is, and it's really, you could have all sorts of fights over the budget, and we have and we do, but this is just a really cruel way to try and work things out. And it's totally haphazard because, again, we understand policy differences, but this is just saying, okay, we're just shutting these things off. So people were qualified for welfare benefits, people qualified for Social Security. And Social Security checks will still go out, but every month people are coming on, they become eligible. They may not get it because there's no one there to process their application. So it's a very, haphazard, cruel way to try and bring about a budget deal.
Coming full circle back to Biden being on that picket line today, talking about some of these people who won't get their welfare checks. Among them, there will be people who will vote Republican. That's the nature of politics and the way it all is, isn't it? That will be the case. Is there some way that Biden is hoping to tap into that kind of electorate to sort of change their views on how they should be voting?
Absolutely. I'm sure the Biden administration is prepared to say, here who is get hurt. See, I mean, I've seen things from them. They already have that worked out. And they're going to be pointing at people saying, look, you're not getting benefits that you're qualified for. So this has already been decided. So we're not arguing over new benefits, but you're not getting the benefits that you're supposed to be getting because the Republicans can't pass a budget. And again, it's totally at this point on the Republicans. So you could have a situation, they pass a budget and then the Democratic Senate doesn't go along, or it comes to Biden, he doesn't sign it. We're not at that point. We're saying the House has to pass a budget and they can't do it.
Dean, we wait for developments, and thank you for joining us here in France 24 and giving us your assessment. We really appreciate it. Dean Baker, a macroeconomist who co-founded the Centre for Economic and Policy Research. Thank you, sir. Great to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Yep. Thanks for having me on.
We are watching, of course, for developments on that strike in Detroit on its 12th day, going to its 13th day, historically backed by a US president, and, of course, all issues related to the uncertainty regarding the US federal budget.